On today's Glory Days show, the New York Mets are in the World Series for the first time in 15 years as they sweep past the Chicago Cubs, winning the National League pennant for the 5th time in their history.
And in the American League, the Kansas City Royals return back to the Fall Classic as they beat Toronto last night for the right to be swept by the Mets in the World Series. Ryan Colpitz will give us the postmortem live via Skype from Ontario.
And Joe Montana from Milwaukee will join us and try to make sense as to what happened to the Chicago Cubs in their annual quest to break their supposed curse.
And the best hour of your sports week is coming up on Glory Days right now.
NateRavio.com.
Hello again, everybody. Today is Saturday, October 24th, 2015, and you are watching The Glory Day Show with Bruce and Disco. Yes, baby. How great is this?
Let's go, Mets!
My
Let's
name
go,
is
Mets.
Paul Descafani. This is my good friend, Bruce Oler. Eric Mikhailov and Bonnie Schultz are behind the glass, and you are joining us on the Radio TV network, where we broadcast live from Studio C in the great state of New York. I can't even say it.
Yeah,
the Mets are in the World Series.
Can I pinch you?
If you'd like to, but I'm not waking up.
Okay, all right. That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
All right, granted, we're homers. There's no way to sugarcoat that.
Yeah, that's right.
But you know what? The World Series, who would have thought this?
Well, we didn't at the beginning of the season. You know, we figured if we make the playoffs, that would be a good season.
Right.
You know.
I think we would have been happy with that. But
Yeah.
you know what? I guess you just don't get. When you finally get there, you do want to win.
Of course you do.
You know, I mean, we're talking about a team where all of a sudden everything's coming together. I mean, of course, you want it to all come together now.
Well, you have to. I mean, you have to
During the
peak at the right
postseason.
time, and that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, a couple of concerns. You know, we don't know exactly what's going on Cespedes. I mean, they came out of the 4th game. I guess he's got a problem with his left arm, I guess, or his left elbow.
His left shoulder.
You know, at least it's not his throwing arm, which is good. But you know, and I don't know if maybe he's been nicked up for a while because he really hasn't been hitting all that well. You know.
No, he went 3 for 4 in the last game.
Yeah.
You know, and we're gonna go talk about the series against the Cubs later, a little later in the show. We'll get into more detail when we have Joe Battaglia on the phone. But how great is it to be a Met fan right now?
Well, you know, and I was just thinking about that. You know, this is the 5th time they go into the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they've been in existence since 1962.
Right.
You know, 5 times is not all that much. You know.
No.
You think about the Yankees. I'm not sure how many times the Yankees have been in the World Series since 1962, but it's a lot more than 5.
Well, here's my problem with that.
Yeah.
Okay, and I understand that math is math. You know, and unfortunately, the Mets live in the same city as the Yankees. Mm-hmm. But you know, if we didn't have the Yankees to compare ourselves to, we're a pretty successful franchise. I mean, the Cardinals, the Dodgers, maybe recently the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah.
What other baseball franchise is there year after year?
Right, but the Yankees cast that long shadow, and as you said, maybe if you take them out of the equation, it's a little different story. You know, I was thinking about that even when the Mets were playing the Dodgers. They were saying the last time the Dodgers won the World Series was '88.
Right.
Okay, the last time the Mets won their series was '86, so that's pretty comparable.
And the Dodgers won the World Series in '88 only because of the Mets.
Yeah, well, and because of Earl Hershiser, too.
Yeah. Again, great pitching.
Yeah.
You know, so our World Series appearances or even playoff
Yeah.
appearances aside, it's hard to get to the World Series. It's hard to get there 2 times in a row. Look at what the Kansas City Royals had to go through.
That's right.
To get back there again. That great game last night. It looked like, really, to be honest with you, I thought Toronto, after they got the tying home run, I thought that was going to be it.
I thought it was going to be their game, yeah. And anything can happen in Game 7, but there will be no Game 7.
No, but it's hard to be in the playoffs. And as a Met fan or a fan of any team that's there, it's a time to enjoy yourself.
Yeah. So I guess look at these theories, okay? So the Mets have been in the World Series 5 times.
Right.
First time. So it seems like the odd number of years they get in, or not years, the odd times they get in, they win. They won in 69. They lost in 73. The third time they won was 86. They won. They were in 2000. They lost. So I think this is our time.
I think this is it. A couple of things that I wanted to talk about. Now, as a Met fan, and if you are a true Met fan, like most of us are, you're exhausted. You're completely exhausted right now.
Yeah, I know.
It's these
You
late
were talking
nights.
about that off camera, I think, last week, and even you posted something on Facebook about how stressed out you were. I don't know. I'm just not feeling that same stress. I mean, I'm going to watch the games. I want them to win, obviously, but I'm not living and dying like you are on it.
I am, and I admit it. I woke up on Friday and found out that my fantasy football team was 0-5.
Yeah, but you're playing me this week, and I didn't start out too good. This might be your week, Disco. That's all I can say.
And then I found out that I haven't been concentrating on anything else. I really haven't been. I haven't done much at home.
Yeah.
I haven't done any of my chores, so to speak. I got a tremendous honey-do list that I got to take care of this weekend. I haven't been to a movie. I heard The Martian was really good. I haven't been watching really TV much. The Walking Dead. It's already 2 episodes into the new season. I haven't watched it yet. I'm so far behind.
Well, this is a good weekend to catch up because
that's
there's
what
no
I thought.
baseball going on this week
There's
at all.
no baseball. There's nothing to draw me to the TV.
Well, except for the Jets are 4-1 and they're playing the 5-0 Patriots.
The Jets are 4-1. What am I going to do now? My wife is going to kick my butt.
The interesting thing is going on tomorrow is that we have another one of those NFL games that's over in London. And
Yes.
this time the game, except for in Buffalo, and I don't remember who they're playing, but those are the only markets where it'll be on regular TV. This is going to be a game that's going to be streamed on. I don't know if it's Netflix. No, I think
really?
it's. I think
They're
it's
streaming
Yahoo.
it?
Yeah,
They're streaming it? They're
That's
not-
it. That's the only way to watch that game.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Let's talk about a couple of interesting things that I found out.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the Mets swept the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
First of all, in Met history, we've never swept anybody in a 7-game series.
Right.
Ever. Going into that game, I read that, they've never even been 3-0 in a 7-game series. They swept the
Atlanta
Braves once in the first ever
Yeah.
National League Championship Series, but they never won a thing. But there was a thing in the paper yesterday. 6 of the 7 teams that have swept a league championship series lost the World Series.
Yeah, but it's 6 out of 7. It's not all of them.
Yes. So we've got a chance.
Well, we got to be in it to win it, my friend.
But the only team to win it, any idea? After sweeping, don't look at the notes.
I don't know.
It's the Atlanta Braves, the
It's
1995 Atlanta Braves.
Braves,
That
okay.
was it. That was the only team. The Tigers, the Rockies, and the 2012 Tigers, the 2007 Rockies, and the 1990 Athletics swept
in
their
the World
right. They swept their championship series, then got swept in the World Series.
Really? Swept in a World Series.
Swept in the World Series. Now, the Tigers got swept in the ALCS, swept the ALCS twice, and lost the World Series twice. Okay? Both times their manager was Jim Leland. Guess who was Jim Leland's bullpen coach when he was on the Pirates?
I guess Terry Collins.
Terry Collins. So he called Terry Collins. I mean, he called Jim Leland to ask him for, maybe a little advice. And he says, there's not a thing you can do.
Yeah.
He says, because, you could try like bringing in a team and playing like an instructional league team or any other type of a team. He says, but there's no intensity. Your players are just going through the motions, so it's a complete waste of time.
Yeah, but I guess, but while, maybe you don't care whether you win or lose, I mean, I think, you got to be trying to stay as, as...
Right, but he says you can't recreate 46,000 people going crazy and a 3-2 game in the 8th inning. He says no matter what, it's just like a spring training baseball game. You're playing, you're getting your timing right, but there's no intensity. He said, so you know what?
Well, you have to make it interesting is what you have to do.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought maybe they could like have a thing at the end where the team that loses gets flogged or something.
Well, I have to do something. I mean, I have to think what the right thing is, Maybe if the losers or the winners, if they beat the Mets, they get some of those tickets the Mets have. Because they're worth a lot on the open market these days, about $1,000 a piece, I think is what I was reading.
Yeah, there was a thing in the paper yesterday that said a ticket, an upper-level ticket to Game 1 of the World Series in Toronto with airfare is about $780.
With airfare?
With airfare. In Kansas City, it's about $825. At Citi Field, the ticket alone is $750. So it'd be cheaper for you to get on a plane and go see a World Series game. I guess Toronto doesn't matter anymore. In Kansas City, because you're going to pay for parking. Although parking hasn't been too bad, the parking was not really expensive. But I'm expecting that the World Series parking will be jacked up.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
Although this year Major League Baseball says they are controlling the parking prices. That's why.
Where were they in 2006 when the Mets were playing the Dodgers, and I was getting into it with a parking lot attendant because I thought that $40 to park was outrageous.
It is outrageous. That's why when you paid $40 to park when we took the train that day, because this time because we said if it was $40 in 2006, what's it going to be in 2015?
Yeah. So we'll let your brother drive and drive us home.
All right, so the Mets are going to the World Series. I don't know what else to say.
They were on Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know if it was last night.
Did you see that last night?
I did not. I read about it in the paper.
I watched it this morning.
Yeah.
I watched it this morning. It was David Wright,
Wilma
Jacob
Flores.
deGrom, Flores, and Matt Harvey. He asked Matt Harvey, he says, are you going to be the one to hit Chase Utley next year to pay him back for what he did to Ruben Devon? And Harvey just kind of laughed.
He didn't deny it.
Harvey just kind of laughed, and he says, well, he's getting paid back now because they're not in the World Series.
Well, he plunked him already, I think.
Yeah,
too,
that's what he says. He says, I've already done that. But then they were talking to David Wright. He says, I understand that you had a nice celebration in the clubhouse. He says, yeah. He says, it was a really good celebration. He says, well, how good was the celebration? He says, it was a really good celebration. By the way, I got something interesting.
Can't wait.
Did you know?
Yeah.
This is not the Did You Know segment, but did you know anyway? That the commissioner's office said it is pondering appropriate steps. Pondering to combat the images of players drinking on the field and spraying the fans with champagne. You know they actually have rules against that?
I didn't know that. I read something that I guess when the Mets were coming, after they did the celebration in the locker room, they started coming out, and they were stopping the players from taking champagne onto the field. But I heard that TC got away with it. He went out there a little bit later, and he was able to spray.
Yep, he was able to spray people.
And TC, of course, is Terry Collins, the Mets manager.
The policy is, by the way, that each team has to have non-alcoholic beverages available, and that the number of bottles of champagne must be limited to 2 per person, per player, okay? And they are to be used specifically for spraying each other and not drinking. That's officially in the Major League Baseball guidelines. And there's only one brand of beer allowed in the locker room.
One brand of beer?
And that's Budweiser.
Okay.
But because Budweiser is a sponsor of Major League Baseball. They sponsor not only all the beer, but they have on the, they put the plastic up and they all have Budweiser symbols on it. So, and beer, by the way, champagne and beer, because champagne really shouldn't count, because champagne, they're not supposed to be drinking it. So beer is the only alcoholic beverage allowed. You're not to be able to be, you notice they're not holding bottles of Jack Daniels and all that stuff. By the way, there's a great picture, if you go out online and check it, of Jake Arrieta after they won.
Yeah.
There's a picture of Jake Arrieta holding his infant son. The son's 1 year old. The son is holding a bottle of champagne and pouring it into his father's mouth. It's the best picture ever.
Okay.
Anyway, we are just getting started here on the World Series edition. Is it a World Series extravaganza, or will that be next week?
Well, it's not an extravaganza.
It'll be next week.
All right.
Right after the break, we'll head to our neighbor up to the north, Ryan Colpitts, to talk about the ACLS, American League Championship Series, and just how the Kansas City Royals were able to beat his Blue Jays. Later on, we'll go to Milwaukee and we'll talk to Joe Bottana. Stay with us. You're watching The Workday Show with Bruce and Disco, only on the Radio TV network. We're coming right back.
For over 60 years, Hansen Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hansen Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansenCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hansen Carpet has got you covered. Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Welcome back to the Glory Days Show here with Bruce and Disco on the InRavio TV network. Our first guest was suffering through Game 6 last night as his beloved Toronto Blue Jays were down, then rallied to tie the game in the 8th, only to fall behind again in an eventual 4-3 loss that ended their season. At least they don't have to suffer when the Mets lose, if the Mets would beat them in a World Series. Please welcome back to the program, live via Skype, Ryan Colpitts. Ryan, how are you?
Is real, but it is what it is, and they ended up losing, so just gotta move past that.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do?
they had a good season. I mean, you got nothing to complain about. We talked a little before the show that I guess if you was sitting here in April, you would have said getting to the championship series would have been a pretty good season. So you really got nothing to be ashamed about. I guess you just lost to a better team, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the fact that at the start of the year, before we got any trades, really, pretty much every Jays fan thought this was just gonna be another year with hopes of even just making the playoffs, let alone the ALCS. So the fact that we were able to get that far, especially after acquiring Price and Tulo, it was a huge year and just a remarkable year overall, with winning the AL East and getting to hang another banner, to all the spectacular plays from like Pilar and Bautista and all that. It was definitely one hell of a year for sure. It just sucks that it ended the way it did. Like you said, rallying to tie the game with Bautista's home run in the eighth before that rain delay.
Let's talk about that ninth inning for a second. It's after they gave up that run, they took Price out in the bottom of the eighth, right?
I think it was bottom of seventh.
Seventh, okay. So in the bottom of the eighth, after the rain delay, guy gets a base hit. The guy on first was running on the pitch. He comes all the way around to score. So now it's 4-3.
Lorenzo Cain.
Right, and in the top of the ninth now. So the question is, in the top of the ninth, you had a leadoff guy. Martin gets on base. He singles. They bring in a pinch runner. He steals second and third. You got a guy on third.
Nobody
no
out.
outs, right? Pilar then walks, and he steals second.
Yeah.
Take us through what's going through your mind at the time.
Through my mind is, even though Donaldson is a great hitter and can get the ball deep, they should have kind of played it smart and got Donaldson to bunt, because then at least that way they would have tied the game in a sense. But at the same time, like, I understand Gibbons' move of, like, he just wants to get even like a blooper past Moustakas on third, because that would score the run. And also, too, if Donaldson hit it hard enough, it might even score two. So, I mean, I don't know. It was I was so nervous at that point. I thought Donaldson would be able to pull it off, but when he grounded into Moustakas at third to get the out, and that was it, I was really heartbroken, as most Toronto fans probably were. But overall, I mean, it's just a baseball game. Things like this are going to happen, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there's only one team that's going to win this whole thing, so everybody else is going to be disappointed. I mean, you were in the Final Four. I thought you guys were on the cusp of winning that game last night, but Kansas City bullpen, I mean, that's something I'm worried about with the Mets, too. I mean, I don't know how the Kansas City starting pitching is, but certainly the relief pitching is outstanding. I mean, that's what's got them to the World Series last year, too. They're a more experienced team at this point in time than the Mets are, so it should be an interesting series for sure.
Yeah.
So what do you think the Mets need to do to beat Kansas City?
They need to look at their bullpen and make sure that their mindset is right going into there. I mean, Kansas City, this is their second year in a row where they made the World Series appearance. Obviously not winning it last year, but they've been there before. They know what's at stake and how to play the game there in that atmosphere, both at home and away. And you also have to look at the Kansas City Royals bullpen mainly too, because look at yesterday, for example, with an hour rain delay, Wade Davis was still able to come out and close out the game, as with the Jays, Aaron Sanchez wasn't. They had to go to Roberto Osuna, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to look at the bullpens primarily, and just obviously play small ball. You don't want to aim for the fences or anything, because otherwise, if you're going to swing too hard for the ball, you're going to miss and strike out. So it's definitely going to be a battle. I could see this series going into Game 6 or 7 for sure. But again, like, the Royals have been there last year, so they kind of know what to do and go from there.
Well, I think that means a lot, if you've been there before. I mean, because obviously most of the Mets have never been there.
Yep.
They really have no idea. They talk about this in the Super Bowl, like for teams that have never been, that week leading up to the Super Bowl is so difficult because you have to deal with your family and your friends that want tickets. You have to deal with the media. You got to deal with all these things that don't involve playing in the game at all. Mm-hmm. And in baseball, this doesn't happen too often. You know what I mean? In baseball, it's usually a day, 2, maybe 3 before you're heading right back into the next game. With the Mets, it's going to be 7 days. With KC, it's going to be 5 days. That's a long time to be sitting and thinking. And baseball is a game of timing. Baseball is a game of, it's not a brute force game. It's a game of timing. And I'm not sure how that plays out. But at least both teams are going to be equally, to be honest with you, looking at the thing, and I know everybody says, oh, I don't care who you play in the World Series. I was not looking forward to playing Kansas City, if only because what you said, Ryan, they're pitching and their bullpen.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what they did last night to Toronto. Davis comes in after an hour rain delay. He was a little shaky, but he strikes out 2 guys, and that effectively ended everything. Couldn't put the ball in play.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, too. And not only their bullpen strong, their hitting lineup is unreal, too. I mean, Escobar got the MVP for the ALCS series. And I kind of knew that hands down because the guy was batting .400 with, 5 RBIs and 9 runs or something. So their lineup is also a very dangerous lineup as well. So the starting pitchers for the Mets are going to have to work quickly, shut them down, and hopefully be able to score some early runs against them to just get that momentum going behind their team.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the Mets is their bullpen is pretty good, but they only have really 2 or 3 guys you can really count on, whereas Kansas City has 4 or 5, so the starting pitcher's got to go long for the Mets if they're going to win.
What did you think about, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What did you think about Madsen last night, trying to stare down Tulowitzki after he struck him out?
That was such childish. That's like wiffle ball stuff and AAA stuff. Get that out of here. Even when Ventura, when he was eyeing down Tulowitzki, and the home plate umpire was just telling him, move along, get out of here.
Right.
That was just childish play. And then also too, when Ventura came off the mound after being pulled, and he does that little look up in the air. It's don't hold that off till AAA, bud. You're in the major. Yes, that's childish play in my eyes. I mean, hats off to Tim Leeper for kind of telling him to shut up in a sense because. The kid needs to have a reality check. I mean, obviously, you want to hold the chirping to a minimum because you don't want to have benches clear. But at the same time, I mean, know your spot, know where you are, right. And respect the game for what it is.
Well, the Kansas City Royals have never had real success coming into New York to play, especially obviously they play against the Yankees. They've never had a lot of real success doing that here. It's a completely different atmosphere coming in here, and I don't think that stuff plays well here. I don't think, what's his name, Cueto?
Yeah.
Right?
Cueto.
Johnny Cueto, yeah.
I don't think that's staring down stuff. I don't think that's going to play well here. I don't think it's going to play well with Montero. That stuff is going to get you rattled. And again, I'm not talking about how, you have to. I mean, it is a little different because you are going to have to get up to bat. At least in Cueto's situation, he's going to have to get up to bat. But you know what? This is the World Series. There shouldn't be any of that stuff.
He was accusing the Blue Jays of stealing signs, I think is what he was saying. I guess that must have been a big story earlier in the week, right? When he got lit up in Game 3, I guess it was, Cueto?
Yeah, Cueto got lit up. Got pulled after, the second inning.
Yeah.
And the best part of that whole game, though, was the Toronto faithful was chanting, "We want Cueto." And the thing that I thought, too, was Cueto was such an idiot in that sense because he gets pulled after letting up, 5 runs, and he's smiling as he walks off the dugout. It's like, if I was a teammate of his, I would be pissed. I don't even know what I would say to him. I would just be beyond angry with him. I'm like, bud, you just got pulled. There's nothing for you to be smiling about. But Cueto, I mean, has had his struggles as of late. So I mean, I'm sure that'll carry on with the Mets, and hopefully, for the Mets, they'll be able to do the same thing Toronto did with them and shut them down early.
Well, let me ask you a question. What do you think? Do you think that the Mets, with their starting pitching, do you think that that's going to be enough to neutralize Kansas City's bats?
I kind of do, but I kind of don't. It's going to be one of those tough. It's going to be a grunge battle like it was with the Jays, where they're going to go 6 or 7. They're going to, especially with Kansas City having home field advantage. New York's going to have that, like, win that one game at home, and then take 2 out of 3 when they come back home for the 3-game set in a row, like Toronto did, and then hopefully just be able to win it back in Kansas City. And obviously, too, with weather, that's going to be a huge part of it as well.
So you need to, before we let you go, we need you to give me a prediction. Who's winning this series and how many games?
I say Mets will win it in 7.
Ooh, okay.
Then we will see you next week.
All right.
Otherwise, we were going to have to say thank you very much and good night. No, I'm kidding. You know what? I'm fairly optimistic, but yet I've been drinking the Kool-Aid all year. I don't think it goes 7 games, and I'm going to give my prediction at the end of the show today. But I don't think it goes 7 games. I don't see it happening. I see good things for the Mets. I see this as being a fairly short series.
Well, I hope you're right.
Me too, because I really don't want to spend that $160 on Game 5.
Well, maybe that's the one thing with me. It's like, as much as I wanted the Jays to make the World Series, I'm kind of glad I'm saving that money now.
There you go. There you go. All right.
All righty, man. Hey, thanks again. We will be talking to you again. This was great having you on for all these games, and we will see you again.
All right.
Thanks,
good,
Ryan.
gentlemen.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Ryan. That is Ryan Colpitz getting in touch with us from Ontario.
Yeah. We're talking to him a little bit off camera, and I was asking him about the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yes.
I think he said they were either 2-5 or something like that. So maybe when we do our hockey extravaganza, which we're kind of delaying because the Mets keep on
At this rate, we'll be doing our hockey extravaganza just before the All-Star game.
just before the Stanley Cup playoffs.
The Stanley Cup playoffs. You know, we used to have a guy who we used to have on all the time named Pete Torgerson.
Yeah. And we were able to talk to him. You know, I mean, there's a big football game coming up this week that I'm sure we could get some good chatter from him on too. You know,
we should just call him anyway. Maybe we'll cold call him right after the break.
All
right, guys. We're going to take another break here on the Glory Days Show, and when we get back, we'll head to Milwaukee to talk to Joe Bottagna about the Cubbies and their 113-year misery continues after getting swept by the Mets in the NLCS. Stay with us. You're watching the Glory Days Show with Bruce and Disco, only on the NRadio TV network. I'll be right back.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com. For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit hansoncarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, this is Chris Dick, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Welcome back to the Glory Day Show with Bruce Disco here on the Radio TV network. Joe Battaglia has been on this program for a few weeks in a row now, talking about all things baseball. And as a Milwaukee Brewers fan, he doesn't have much to add to this postseason, as his beloved Brewers were eliminated a long time ago. But today we're here to talk about curses and legends that are preventing the Chicago Cubs from getting to and winning a World Series. He wrote a great article in Around the Horn Talk this week called The Best of Times, the Worst of Times. It depends on your perspective. Please welcome the perspective of Joe Battaglia. Hey, Joe, how are you?
Good, guys. How you doing?
Good. All right, man. We're doing pretty good today.
You should be. You should be. You have you actually have a guy on your team who was almost one of our players if a trade had gone through, and I think it worked out well for you that it didn't.
Sure did.
Yeah, you know, he was on David Letterman last night. Not David Letterman. He was on Jimmy Kimmel last night. And Jimmy Kimmel said, you know, the fact that he broke down on the field kind of, when he came off the field. Wilmer Flores, yeah. Well, when he came out of the game and he walked into the dugout, he went down into the catwalk or whatever it was behind the dugout, and David Wright followed him. Yeah. Right? And he asked him, what did David Wright say to you? And Flores said that David just told me, listen, you know, it's okay, this is a business, baseball is business. He says, but just think about how much that team that traded for you really wanted you. He said that made him feel a little better.
Well, you know, I remember talking about this when that happened, and we were listening. I was listening to a local radio station. They were saying the reason why he was crying is that he got traded to Milwaukee. Sorry about that, Joe.
You know, but Kimmel reminded us last night that these guys are human beings. They're people.
They are. We forget that, especially, and that really aggravates me when I see. You know, on social media, some of the supposed fans, I'd rather call them idiots. Really ripping on the ball players. It's like, you know, he's not happy that he dropped that ball. He's not happy that he hung that pitch that the guy hit for a home run. He's a human being. Lay off.
You know, but we don't expect them to do that, and I think that's where our fanaticism comes in.
And I got to tell you, I really think that David Wright didn't say that to him. I really think he said, there's no crying in baseball.
So, Joe, what happened to the Chicago Cubs? First of all, are your brothers in mourning?
Actually, my brother Javi is not too upset because even though he was a rabid Cubs fan, he kind of went over to the White Sox side over the last few years.
I see.
He was not terribly upset. But
How does that happen?
I'm sure James is really bummed because he goes to a lot of Cubs games. His office has seasons tickets, so he goes to quite a few games. But
Do you think that it makes a difference? And again, maybe you want to ask your brother about this, but do you think it makes a difference to your brother the fact that the team just got swept as compared to what happened to Toronto yesterday, where they came back, they lost, they came back, they lost, and then finally the other team just beat them? I mean, when you lose in 6 or 7 games, you don't necessarily think that the other team was that much
That's
better
right.
than you.
You think you were close. I mean, the Mets demolished the Cubs. They swept them 4-0. They scored more runs than I think the Cubs had hits. Starting pitching was dominant for the Mets. Daniel Murphy set a Major League Baseball record for home runs in 6 consecutive games, postseason games. Mets ran the bases well. They played better defense. The only thing I could really say with this curse is I really thought that every close pitch went the Mets' way. When they were batting, it was a ball. When they were pitching it, it was a strike.
Yeah. And you look at the Cubs, and I mean, I don't know if you saw that. I know Paul saw it. The article that I wrote about the a few weeks ago about the kind of a metaphysical view of Cubs baseball as Halloween approaches, and how are the fates finally just sick and tired of bothering the Cubs and are going to let them win like they let the Red Sox off the hook a few years ago, or are they just kind of setting them up for a really, really painful fall? And I thought, well, maybe they're going to let them get into the World Series and be up 3-0, up by about 3 runs in the 8th inning, and then have them collapse, right? That would have been bad, but I think this was almost as bad, right? To have them get into the NLCS. Right. And just absolutely get their doors blown off. Like
they had, but this is the year they had all those things working for them. They had the Marty McFly thing going. For them.
That's true.
The 2015. They had the fact that if they were going to break it against any team, it would be their nemesis, the Mets. And the Mets had a guy named Murphy. How much better could it have been for them to break this thing?
Yeah, well, but I think there seem to be so many curses working against them. I mean, you have the 1908 play-in game against the predecessor of the Mets, the New York Giants. Right. And I mean, as I was looking at that game and looking at the final game, there were so many mirror parallels of it. You had the fact that you had one fatal inning. I mean, I actually went and pulled the New York Times article from the day after the game, covering the game, and there is a sub-headline that says "The Fatal Third Inning," and because back then the Cubs put up a 4 spot in that inning against Christy Mathewson, Hall of Famer. Yep. And that was the deciding score of the game. And so here you have the same thing, the fatal first inning. I mean, they're all hoping, hey, maybe we can still come back, and boom, that first inning, done, over.
Yeah. That's what Joe Madden was talking about, obviously, the day before the game and during the game. They're talking about, the first thing they ask you is, what do you got to do to come back from 3 games? And it's it happened to the Islanders. The Islanders were one of the few teams that have ever done it.
Coming back from 3-0.
Coming back from 3-0. And Al Albert told the team, we can't look at winning 4 games. We can't look at winning even 1 game. We can't even look at winning a period.
We just have to win
every shift. Yep. Every time you go out there, be better than the other guy. And I think that's what the Cubs were going to be looking at. They were just going to take it inning by inning and, hope that things started to fall their way. Then Lucas Duda hits a 3-run bomb.
Yeah, so
in the first inning.
You have that, and I mean, I think it's just ironic that Duda in Spanish means doubt, and it was a no-doubter. And then in the next inning, he hits a 2-run double. Then there's no doubt then about the game either.
That to me was the key play, was that double. Again, both of those, the home run, the double, the 6 runs that they scored were after 2 were out.
Yeah. Well, and then, the game of glimmer of hope, they had the bases loaded and nobody out in the 4th inning, right? And they only got the 1 run.
It was 6-0
That
at
was-
the time.
that
And
was big, too.
That shot that David Wright caught.
Yep.
That's a bases clearing double.
No doubt.
That's going right down the line.
And once again parallel back, we're talking the curses. Back in the 1908 game, the Giants in the 7th inning have the bases loaded with no out, and they managed to only score 1 run on a sacrifice ground out.
Wow.
Just like the Cubs did. So I mean, it's like,
Well, let me tell you what I think really was the key to the whole series. You know how they talk about how pitchers need to get ahead of the batters and everything? The Cubs went 36 innings without getting a leadoff single.
I'm not
Without getting
sure.
a
I mean,
leadoff hit.
they were 2 for 34 leading off is what the stat was. So I'm not sure it was 36.
No, they
innings.
had 2 guys. One guy walked,
Yeah.
and one guy got hit by a pitch.
Right.
But they didn't get a hit in 36
They were 2
at-bats.
for 34 is what they,
really?
that's the stat that I had. Yeah, but I mean, still, it was a lesson of futility there, basically.
Exactly.
When you don't get the leadoff batter on, your chances of scoring a run are that much less.
Right.
And
Right.
That's what happened to him.
That's right, and I mean, I think what happened to the Cubs is, well, first of all, reversion to mean. You beat a team 7 games out of 7.
Yeah.
The odds are you're going to lose some games. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second is the Mets are a much better team in the second half. If I remember the stat correctly, they had the most run production of any team in the NL after the All-Star break.
That's right.
They lost those 7 games to them before they
It's a
had done
different
these
team.
things.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's a totally different
Well,
team.
we were talking last week about Noah Syndergaard had made his major league debut against the Cubs in Chicago. He gave
Yeah.
up 5 runs.
Yeah. The Cubs' defense though was kind of suspect too. Baez at short made a couple of errors, and Kyle Schwarber, the left fielder, man, he was terrible out there.
Oh, he was horrible out there. I mean, I just couldn't believe some of it. So what are you doing? I mean,
He looked like Daniel Murphy when Daniel Murphy used to play the outfield. It's not that he can't catch the balls that are hit right at him. It's that in between thing where they just can't make those decisions. I mean,
Yeah,
let's talk about Murphy for a second, okay? This is a guy who every time the ball is hit to him, you hold your breath.
Yeah.
Every time he's on the base paths, you hold your breath. Okay? The only thing you feel comfortable about with Daniel Murphy is when he's at the plate.
right.
You know you're going to get a good at-bat out of him. But I'm sitting there going, how does this guy become Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Mickey Mantle, all the greatest players you could think of? Yeah. Nobody ever hit, think about him hitting 6 home runs, period.
Yeah.
He hit him in consecutive games.
Guys, he has 62 career in like an 8-year career. Okay? He has I forget what the number is. I looked it up from my article. It was like he has a 755 OPS, and now he has a record that Ruth and and DiMaggio and Mantle and Pujols and Reggie Jackson.
And it's not like any of those guys did it 4 times or 5 times and just didn't do it 6. You know? The only guy who had ever done it before was Carlos Beltran. He did 5 when he was with the Astros, I think, right? Houston Astros?
Yeah. But I mean, it's unheard of. And I guess this is the kind of thing that only happens to the Cubs.
That's true.
Like and well, I don't know. In a sense, having gotten blown out like this, I mean, it obviously hurts. It's like you weren't man enough to do what you had to do. But they've got to have a lot of hope. They have a fantastic young lineup. They've got lots and lots of salary room. I expect to see Theo Epstein go out there and go after some of the really, really big name people out there.
But what do you think they need? Do they need? I mean, they have a good pitching staff. They
don't have a good pitch.
hitters.
They have 2 good starters, and that's it. Their 3rd and the 4th starter are no good. That's really what they need to do because they have a talented, position players for sure.
Yeah, they need to. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go out there and pay whatever they have to get Greinke.
Do you think he's not going to go back to L.A.?
Oh, I mean, I think. Remember, we had Zach here in Milwaukee, and he liked being in Milwaukee, but he was after the money, and I can't blame the guy. I mean, this is their chance at a huge payoff for themselves and their family. But I think Greinke will go wherever the money is right. And
Well, David Price even, right? He's a free agent too, right?
David Price will be a free
Price
agent.
a free agent. So I said, my guess. I mean, I'm just guessing. I have no inside information on this at all. But I'm thinking Theo Epstein is a really, really smart baseball executive. He's got a bunch of talented position players who are locked up with for very affordable money for quite a while. So he's got a pretty long window here where he can win, where he can break those multiple curses that the Cubs are operating under.
Well, actually, we were even talking earlier in the year. We were even talking earlier in the year about how the Mets and the Cubs seem to be good trade partners.
Yeah, they would be.
The Mets had a surplus of pitching, and the the Cubs had a surplus of hitting. You know, they got 3 shortstops.
Yeah. We only need one.
We only need one. Yeah, but I don't think you're getting Syndergaard anymore.
Probably not.
Yeah. All righty, Joe.
He's really good.
So give us the prediction. Who's winning the series? How many games?
I predicted that it's going to be you guys. The Mets are going to win it. I think they're going to win it in 6 games, and I think the key variable there is going to be your starting pitching.
Yeah, how long we can go.
You guys remind me of the 1969 version of the Mets, and I think it's just going to be very, very tough for Kansas City to overcome that. You know, if they can be ahead and get into that really strong bullpen they have, then they have a chance. And they definitely have the contact hitting. They can, as Dale Swain said in an interview, says we lengthen the lineup and we like to stretch out the inning for the pitchers. And so if they can do that, then they're going to be successful. But I just don't think they're going to be able to overcome that starting rotation you're going to throw at them. So I see Mets 6 games.
All right, Joe. Thanks for your help.
And your insight?
And your insight, man. And we will be talking to you again.
Let's go Mets.
Let's
go Mets. Good luck.
All right, thanks
Joe,
a lot, Joe.
Thanks. That is Joe Battaglia. We're almost out of time here on the Glory Day Show. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up for the weekend. Stay with us. You're watching the Glory Day Show with Bruce Disco, only on the Radio TV network. Coming right back.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Well, Welcome back to the Glory Day Show with Bruce Disco here on the Radio TV network. So what did we learn today?
Well, the thing I learned today is that I think our phone-in guests want to get back on a show, so they both predict the Mets were going to win in 6 games.
So what do you think?
I think the Mets are going to win in
prediction.
5. I think the Mets are going to win in
games.
5.
Okay. I differ with you, and I think they're going to sweep this whole thing.
Okay.
I thought that they were going to sweep the Cubs. People thought I was insane, but I don't think I actually made that prediction.
Right.
So it
I
doesn't
can't say I
count.
recall you making that prediction for sure. I mean, there's a few questions about this series. It's, how will the Mets power pitching fare against the Kansas City contact hitters? There's DH that's going to be involved with a couple of games here. That's a little bit of a wild card for the Mets. I don't know who they're going to go with on that.
Do we throw somebody like Kelly Johnson as the DH, or do we have Murphy be the DH for a game and let Kelly Johnson play second?
And maybe Juan Uribe gets back too, so that's also a possibility.
But
we gotta
have
ask the
nothing
Stone
to
Man,
do
I
with
guess.
it. This is the only thing that matters,
Okay.
and that is the Stone.
Wise guy.
Sammy Stone,
Yo,
tell me the future.
you better start making sense.
Sammy Stone,
That's right.
tell me the future.
Am I missing something here?
How much time we got? 3 hours? Sammy Stone. Sammy Stone,
You got him.
tell me the future.
Hey, show some respect here.
One more time? For
Yeah.
a 4-game sweep?
And then you go to me.
And then I go to Sammy Stone,
Good guess.
tell me the future.
Hey, watch your language.
All right.
All right. Brucey Stone,
Yo, it's light out here. Yeah.
tell me the future.
All you got to do is ask.
What, are you nuts?
Will the Mets beat the Cubs in the World Series?
The Cubs.
Well, then no. All right. See, it's a good thing that we're asking Brucey Stone. Will the Mets beat the Kansas City Royals in the World Series?
Absolutely.
I'm thinking, yeah. All righty. You failed.
What's going on?
Yeah, what's going
Get rid of
on?
this
That's what I
guy.
got to say.
Take his batteries out.
Could it be the end of Sammy Stone? No. We'll figure him out. All righty. Thanks to our producers, Kyle Melnick and, no, not Kyle. Kyle's not here today. Eric Mikhailov and Bonnie Schultz for
Did
all
he
their
bring a
hard
note
work.
from his mother? Oh, that's
And
right.
make
He
this
had
look
a
so
family thing going on. I'm
good
sorry
out
about
there.
that. Kyle, hopefully that works out the best for you there.
Thanks to our guests, Ryan Colpitz and Joe Batania, for helping us out with our Glory Days postseason coverage. Don't forget you can read their baseball blogs on the sites Around the Horn Talk and A View from the Bench. Thanks again, Chuck and Bonnie, putting up with this nonsense week after week, and especially
Putting up with Sammy Stone.
this
You
guy.
know?
All right.
Sammy Stone. Sammy Stone,
That's right.
tell me the future.
Hey, speak English. Nobody move.
And of course, thanks to you, our loyal viewers who have been tuning out in groves as we bring Sammy Stone on. Yo, don't forget, you can check out the Glory Days on-demand page at www.enravio.com, and you can watch any of our past shows or any of the other great shows. Yeah, sure, now he's talking. On the enravio.com TV network. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe.
Better start making sense.
And with the World Series set to start in a few days, let us leave you with this.
Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! Fade to black.
Radio.